This is Escape Velocity. I'm Crypto Pio, and today I want to do a deep dive into a really interesting piece that dropped recently on NiftyGateway, Kill the Wabbit by Jonathan Thunder. This piece has already developed a really intense story around it, with price action going to the moon initially, a heavy dip that corresponded with the macro dip in the NFT market and Ethereum, and then now another bull run that's even crazier than the first one that has set the piece at a floor that's 4 times what the initial drop price was. So let's dive right in. The piece is by Jonathan Thunder. He is an artist from the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. He has a Native American background, and it definitely informs his work. You can see it right here in Kill the Wabbit. You're seeing essentially Bugs Bunny. Obviously the title references Elmer Fudd, and it's sort of, poking fun at the Elmer Fudd Bugs Bunny relationship while having a much more serious undertone that references the genocide of Native Americans. I don't want to dive too much into this piece because I think the piece itself speaks for itself, but you see a lot of that influence in Jonathan Thunder's other work, including the other piece in this drop, only on that front it's more focused on environmental conservation, or really addressing the destruction of the environment by human beings. So this piece had a really interesting price history. It was absolutely a rocket ship right off the bat, and one big reason for that is that a blue chip artist, Mad Dog Jones, went on Twitter before the drop and hyped up the piece. He said, you don't want to miss this one. This artist is super legit. I think that Mad Dog is definitely showing love to another Midwest artist, and obviously Jonathan's pieces speak for themselves. So, again, I think that that's, something that can always add to the initial drop of a piece if another blue chip artist really hypes it up. So if we look here at the price action, it dropped at $999 right off the bat. The dum-dums, the paper-handed flippers, were flipping it for $1,300, $1,200, $1,400. So people were making a profit right off the bat. There wasn't any dip below the initial drop price. I've been talking about this in videos over and over again. When there is not a dip on an open edition after initial drop price, that is a bullish signal that it's going to perform very well. Most open editions we're seeing have a dip below drop price within the first 72 hours, the first 4 days that they come out. This one didn't. And as you can tell, quickly 1,500 turned into 1,700, turned into 2,000, turned into 2,500. So this piece was just an absolute rocket ship right off the bat. And as we know, that's not something that you see very often with open editions anymore. Now that there's so much supply flooding the market of NiftyGateway, NiftyGateway is doing 2 to 4 artist drops a day, doing drops in the afternoon and in the evening. It really is a lot of supply coming into the NFT market, and a lot of that supply is, mainstream musicians. And what people need to understand is that not every drop is going to perform well. In fact, a lot of drops have been just cut in half in terms of value within 24 hours. That includes drops by notable artists that have done previous drops that were very successful. For example, the Justin Roiland drop that happened recently has completely cratered despite his first drop doing very well, and also despite him being the co-creator of a show, Rick and Morty, that has a robust cult following. So a lot of stuff is being figured out in the NFT market right now. Price discovery is in a really interesting place. So when you see a drop like this, you see a drop that goes from $999 drop price to literally $2,000, $2,500, almost $3,000 within 48 hours. That's definitely a piece to take a look at. So as you can see here, we saw it kind of dip back down to 2,000, and then with the macro NFT market dip that corresponded with the dip in Ethereum, right? Because the NFT market at this point, not permanently, but at this point, is directly correlated to the performance of Ethereum. We saw this piece dip right back down to 1260, 1200, 1210, and then eventually available for less than the drop price. Right here, Mr. Tony, who happens to be my good friend, bought it for $800. Tony is new to the NFT market, saw this pickup at $800 because I've been talking about NFTs, and grabbed it. Very good move by Mr. Tony. The events that ensued after this are very interesting. A lot of times an artist can hype up a piece after the drop. We saw it with Bitcoin Angel when Trevor Jones expressed frustration with people that were paper handing Bitcoin Angel, selling it for, just a little bit over what they paid for it weeks after it came out. And he came in and he bought up all mints of Bitcoin Angel that were priced under $1,000. That sort of hype, realizing that an artist is going to go to bat for his piece, he's going to, build a community around the piece, that can ignite a bull run. And we saw it with Bitcoin Angel. We then saw it with this piece because Jonathan did a very interesting thing and actually burned, if you see here, the original piece. So he put out this video on Twitter. He also talked about it on Discord, and he did Kill the Wabbit video on Twitter where he paints over the original canvas of Kill the Wabbit, as you can see here, and then he actually paints another piece over the canvas, and you guessed it, the piece that he paints over the canvas is another piece that points out or just references the genocide of Native Americans and colonization in the United States. So, super interesting story. That, combined with the initial bull run of the piece, sparked an absolutely crazy bull run yesterday where, for example, my friend Mr. Tony bought the bottom at $800. Within hours, we're looking at, $12.95, $1,400. Mr. Tony paper handed it at $13.50, so he took a $550 profit, which I'm going to talk about later. But at this point, within hours, we saw the piece run back up to $2,500, $2,700, and actually had 3 sales at $4,000 or above. Mint number 91 out of 97 sold for $4,000. In the marketplace, the floor at this point is $5,000. So you cannot get Kill the Wabbit at this point for less than $5,000. So this is the power of an artist doing something interesting after the drop, adding to the story of the piece. Destroying the original piece has definitely gone pretty well for artists thus far. You saw Crash and Burn by Mad Dog Jones, where he burned several $1 million of art. People find that interesting. People think that it's cool when there's an added story to the piece after the drop. No different with Kill the Wabbit. This also positively impacted Honey Bear Goes to White Castle, which is the other piece that Jonathan put in this drop. At this point, this piece was $1,200 initially. You can't get it for less than $2,700. Not the same meteoric rise as Kill the Wabbit, but it's definitely added to the drop. And if Jonathan follows up his next drop with another really great piece or a couple great pieces that perform well, I wouldn't be surprised if Kill the Wabbit becomes a blue chip piece, if Jonathan becomes a blue chip artist. It's super interesting. So let's talk about Mr. Tony's paper handing really quick. To me, if you're going to take a $550 profit on a piece, don't. It's just not worth it. If that's what you're looking for in the NFT market, I don't think it's the market for you, because a couple of different things can happen. If you go into a purchase and you think, I'm going to make a $500 profit on this piece, there's a very high likelihood, I'd say above 75%, that you won't make any profit on the piece because it's just going to crater after its open edition to less than what you bought it for. So you're going to just take a loss immediately. So I definitely wouldn't do that. And then the other scenario, let's say it performs really well like Kill the Wabbit does, you sell it for a $550 profit, and in that moment you think, hey, that was a really good idea, and then it runs up to $4,000, $5,000, and you have to live with the fact that you sold something at $13.50 that you could have sold for $4,000 or $5,000 a couple hours later. I wouldn't have told Mr. Tony to do this. It's okay, he'll learn from it, but that's what you have to understand, is that when you elect to sell an NFT and somebody pays you much more than what you paid for it, the reason they're doing that is because they think that it has value long term. NFTs are not an investment, remember that, but if you are going to look at them as an investment, which they're not, that's the way you definitely have to look at them. So, all in all, this is a super interesting piece. I love the artwork behind it. I think that the story behind it adds to it. I think Jonathan is a super interesting artist to watch. Thank you for watching Escape Velocity. Please like, please subscribe. I will be giving away one NFT that has $500 value to one of my subscribers when the channel hits 500 subscribers. So please subscribe, please stay tuned, and I'll put out a new video every day covering the NFT market.